Hello and welcome. It's the completion of the 26th day of February 2019. My name is Derek. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. All bets, trades of the like. Well, that is within each his own risk and their own reward. The one thing missing from today's movement on Theta, for me right now to indicate that a top might be in, is really big volume. It's only been 2 hours for the day, but a lot of wild stuff has happened within such. And therefore, let's take a look. And actually, I'm trying to think of the math here, for example. It's 1700, it's 2100. It's now 4 hours. I knew it was off because it's 2100 hours. It's 9 o'clock p.m., 2100 hours. But 3600 to me felt like the obvious spot. I was thinking anyway. It was the area of the Binance open highs. It pierced above it. And if it goes to 38, that counts. I just think 36, it was like kind of go to. That was a pierce above here, 36.95. And currently the high today is in at 3600. That line is one Satoshi short of where I sold at. I sold 35.90. If I had balls, and I mean, this is one of the things I was thinking about. If I want to be fancy, let's move this to the, well, we'll go to the 1 minute in time. But let's just do multiple time frames on its way to the single minute. It is now pulled back down to 3,300, still well extended from its 18 average of highs. And if you, I'm not going to draw a line, but draw a line amongst all the lowest areas. And then on the resistance, connecting this peak with this peak, then curving it amongst these two, curving it up to this high, and this high. It'd be an interesting picture just showing how big of a move it is. But as far as the volume that I've been talking about, we have big volume that comes in to start the move. Oftentimes, that big volume is that of key turning points. So it starts this breakout, so it is the case in here. But that's the case too with tops as well, and even bottoms, that you can finish off the move with usually bigger, or at least definitely bigger than its following volume, because we can see after the move steady good volume comes in, because the size of the volume periods since February the 24th has been much greater than the 4 hour periods that preceded it. But if I'm looking for a top, I'm looking for one of these really high volume moves at really at the candle where the top comes in. So it's really shocking right now. That's the one thing that's shocking about this move. The fact that it looks the way it does in the 1 minute time frame, I mean, that's like, wow, okay. And I'll talk about the strategy I was thinking about doing beforehand. And whether that would be good in my end that I didn't do it, time will only tell, but it's off to, would I be saying that, of a good start. Single hour term. The resistance established in here at 2,900, pierced above. Again, it noticeably pierced above. That's almost like a statement on the 1,800-hour timestamp yesterday. And then and the reason why it's that, because, well, that was a significant break. It wasn't that great of one. It pulls back. Now you want to see it hold. And this is a scare candle here because it already established short-term support at 28 and a quarter at that time, and then it pierces down to 27 and a third. Comes up to this 18, where it's a little unsure because of the fact that the 18 is a flattening. You got the lower high potential, but that potential failed and flustered at 6 a.m. candle. And then how it's just riding the 18 average of lows, and then it stopped doing that at 1,300 hours. The support was no longer found there. It was escaping it slowly but surely, and, well, it really even hasn't had a monstrous huge break leaving the 18 on this time frame. And again, we're not seeing any monstrous volume that would indicate that this current period top is that of a high. And I'm hoping that if that's the case, that my next sell order hits, because I'm extremely aggressive. with that because I was already aggressive as it was. So I already won with my last decision. For I sold around the 3,000 mark. And I generally will sell for like 10% moves. Even 7, 8% moves, 9% moves. And I'm thinking here, do I really want to sell at 33? I was thinking 33 and a half. Uh, why don't I just stick a larger sell order at around like a hair below 36, like 35.90, and then go for there. And I'll go back to my daily chart so I can weekly chart rather. No, daily chart first, then weekly. And then we're going to go to the 15, 5, and 1. The reason why is because of my buyback. Where do I want to buy this baby back? Conservatively and at a fair mathematical level would be 30. That's a differential of 600 basis points, about 18% decline, 20% volatility overall. Still kind of weak, but that's still double from what I normally would be doing. But the answer to that is no. The next conservative level is the upper area for where it came from, 26, right here. I'm saying no to that one as well. Although mathematically speaking, we're starting to get some good numbers. 1,000 off of 26, pretty decent. The next key number would be Fibonacci, and we'll first start with the Pierce above. I guess mathematically that'd be about 2,400, and well, that's the one I'm taking. Another one at that is the Fibonacci itself, like 2,300. Pierce extra, which oftentimes it does. There's two levels for that, maybe around 22, and even around the 2,000 mark as a decent large Pierce below, add to a psychological number, or even 21. Extremely more aggressive there after that is a 61.8% correction near 1760, somewhere in that area. Pierce above, right on, Pierce below. Higher you go, the more conservative, and obviously better chance you have. I mean, that should go without saying that you have a better chance of hitting 1831 than you do of 1755, because it's guaranteed you hit 1831 if 1755 gets hit. More aggressive after that, if you believe this is a bear market play, then maybe you do where it came from back in here, 1300, 1100, and even more aggressively after that is a new low, about 600. If you buy at 600, you're basically getting about like 6 times back what you sold. I mean, I'm just going through all the levels. Now upside target. As far as where I think this is going, my view is on an intermediate term, breaking above 3,600, 4,000 area. Conservatively, I think appears below 10,000, high 9,000s conservatively. And breaking 10,000, yeah, I think it could do that. That's the same. I think that's, considering conservatively, I think it's 10. I realistically think 12, 13, 14,000. That's basically right there. On a full move, like from point A to point B over what normally it might take, and could take longer than that of 6 weeks or 4 months or some sort of decent period of time, 8 months, but can happen fast. It has many coins before in the past. Is six figures, around 100K. But I don't expect that to happen in 5 days, although it is sickly mathematically possible. It's just extremely rare. However, doing that and getting maybe the third consolidation lottery prize, I mean, it's so hard to win the third consolidation lottery prize, which is what, 4 numbers out of 6 or something like that, or 5 out of 6. I don't know. I don't play those games. I'm just saying that it's much better than winning the lottery. That even the sub prizes, whatever, it's less than 1,001 at this time. That this price point, I think, would be over 100,000 in the next 9 days. And that's sick to say that it's even got those odds. As far as a trader is concerned, that's a big move going to my up target of like, well, close to 10K from 36. It's not quite triple, 2.5x. There's little bits of resistance on the way there. I gotta think on a break of this that a first spark move on the daily chart in 1 day or 2 days, whatever, until the move is over, is 5,000, 6,000. 5,000 is conservative. I mean, why do you sell at 4,600 if you're unless you're selling short term trading? I don't understand that. I really, really don't. Just like in here, unless you're short term trading, which I guess I was in the 2,900 area, I don't know why you were doing so. Now, mathematically, this is a third X hit of resistance. Each time you hit it, the more stronger it gets. Whenever I see a situation go have an amazing move from the extreme lows to the extreme highs as fast as it did, and then to give it pretty much all back as fast as it did, and then to take a decent amount of time to get back there, check mark, and then to do so straight up from a very low point, check mark, the probability odds in my book and the way I see it that a level of resistance is going to be had now or soon at this price area. 42, 4,300 is the area. That's appears above the Binance open highs, which was the highs. It was never higher than this before it came on here. So it is the all-time highs as well. It's just extremely high probability. But if resistance doesn't come where it's supposed to, well, I mean, fast move. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. And there you can see the move itself. Just a fantastic one. And let's just skip all the way to the 1. No need to look at the 5. My strategy was sell maybe half, but if I really want to have balls, sell everything at the 3,600 level, and then just start scalping in, trading short term, intermediate, long term with that, putting sell buy orders everywhere. My first buy order probably would have been in at about 34.60, probably around here. Of course, I would have bought again probably at about 34.14. Then I would have bought again here, and then I would have sold here. Then I would have bought back here. I would have missed my sell order up here, and then nothing would have happened since then. And I see short term. Okay, now it's having its break. And just looking at this on a technical analysis level, like I say, the volume is interesting. The lack thereof. So therefore, I'm hoping this is not going to be resistance, and this thing just goes to like 10,000, like in the next couple of days. I got my sell orders ready to go for how they need to. And looking at this 1 minute time frame as a scalper day trader, I'm not going to do this, although I could. Is looking at what I need. I want two things to happen. Hopefully, the first is for price to stop going higher, either go sideways or go down no further than about 33.77. And then I want to see really big volume come in. And when you see something like that, wow, you know what's going to happen. It's probably in a spot like this, given where we came from in the other multiple time frame analysis, it's probably going to take out this top. If you were to see something like that. We've already had that little bit of a price decline, but the volume isn't in yet, though. You want to see volume, well, based on where the number is. That's not what the volume is, but based on where the 3280 area is. I want to see volume up in this area here. If I see something like that, now there's a price decline. Now, I should have said this before. Sometimes you just play with a buy order. Where you came from would have been right around here. So I would have basically said about 3380. 3380 would have been, well, that's what it hit. But that's because of this high. What was this high? 3378. Technically, I probably would have said 3381. if I want to get technical. I mean, I'd like to do an extra number off or below or above. Now, is this coming on big volume? No. A lot of times, if this doesn't come on big volume like this, and it comes on standard, and then a lot of times these rallies might not last for too long. But that doesn't mean, say, when it gets up to 34.82 that it picks up, which that could be the case. It's just when I see a spot like this, where the market's coming off of some sort of correctionary move, especially when its status of other time frames are very bullish like this, that if it's going to come in with that big volume play, then it could be pretty dangerous and exciting. I didn't expect to talk too much about this, but yeah, what I wanted to state was you play intermediate term, so intermediate term on this, or I guess the next level from very short term would have been to have a bit bigger. Actually, I said sell 36, buy everywhere here. I would have looked okay. So say for example, for every 1 unit that I was short term trading, I would be looking to buy maybe 2 units or 2.5 at a lower point, which would be, let's see, from this top here, looking back at it like this. I gotta go hour actually. It's just that's short. That's still very short term. Probably 3 to 32, but 32 is too conservative. 29 I think is the standard, and 3,000 is the key even number. I'd probably put like a larger size order at 3, and I would look to sell this at probably 32.85 if that order hits. So these are the types of things that I was thinking about doing, but instead, I'm changing the volatility. I realize that the market is telling me that it's at a place where it should stop going up. I sold at that spot where it was supposed to. If I'm wrong, I'm expecting big moves, so there's no need to have sell orders anywhere below 4,800. Unless you want to put a small one, maybe around 42 or 43. That's a different one there because you're still playing for that upper end of resistance. So up to about 41, 42. Once you get past that, selling at 43, 46, 48, to me that's, I think, a fool's game. And again, unless you're short-term trading, unless you're Bitcoin cost averaging your sales, all that kind of stuff. Bitcoin cost averaging your sale means assume like right now, if you were to just sell everywhere, you bought say last at you Bitcoin averaged your way down here, which means maybe you sold all the way up to this top at 27.14, then you started buying at like say 24, all the way down to this low because you literally might buy every 5 points or something or whatever, some small increments. So then after buying at say 22 and whatever the low number is, maybe you start selling at 25.69 or even 26, just to go even numbers. So therefore, 26 to 36, now you're riding a sell average of 31, which is fine and dandy and everything. It's a safe way to do it, especially if you lack knowledge in you're just not good at picking tops and bottoms. Because one of my great teachers, who basically the person I learned from, back in 2007 and since then, Brian Shannon from Alpha Trends. He said picking tops and bottoms is a fool's game, which is pretty much true depending on how you look at it. But if I'm putting orders to buy and sell, I have to put them somewhere, so I might as well try my best at it, and I don't have to be right. In fact, a lot of times I'm wrong, and it doesn't matter. For if I were to say, for example, it would have topped at say 34.81, and then it comes back down and it falls, and I miss out in a sell. Okay, so be it. I was right back where I was before in the same position. But now, it just doesn't matter. You're going to be right sometimes, wrong sometimes. And I'm going to be wrong here, and it goes up to. I mean, if this thing goes up to say, this is one thing I could happen. Is this thing goes up to 37, 38, 39-ish or whatever, it pierces above that target, and it does then on the high volume on these little things here, then that wouldn't surprise me. Now I'm very optimistic or pessimistic rather. Maybe because I said that accidentally, I should be optimistic, but I'm very pessimistic that this is a very high probability breakout because it's not coming on the high volume that I was liking to see it follow through on. And let's quickly look at Vertcoin next. And I'll go from shortest to longest term. For I got notified that I sold, and I sold at a hair below 12, 11, 9, and whatever numbers. That's my strategy. If you see something's going up to like an area of whatever, and it's always a little bit below on a sell like a 1200. If I'm going to sell it, say 1600 or 16,000, that means I'm selling at 15,900 and two other numbers, and maybe 15.8 depending on how aggressive I think it's going to hit that even number or pierce above it little, which in this case pierced above a little bit, going to 12.2. And it's already fallen back down to a pierce below 11, down to 10.8. Well, decent volatility, but this is very normal with Vertcoin. A lot of these coins go up and then down fast. 5 minute time frame. So it already came back to where it came from. On the 1, we can see that as well amongst the 5. And when looking on such on a smaller exchange or not traded too much, then these are the types of not too many trades in each period. Sometimes it's just one participant, two participants acting here and there during that time. There just might not be many trades. You might go 7 minutes without a trade or 2 minutes without a trade very commonly. But you're not going to go 7 minutes or 2 minutes without a trade when it sparks up starting at that of 1900 hours. For the last 2.5 hours almost, it's been every candle, with the exception of the 20 and a quarter candle, has had movement. And you've had your breakout, big pierce above. You didn't hold the 18, but you did at least do what you really needed to do, is get that support in here. Now you're in the test of still trying to hold that 18 because along the way, as far as reversal of trend, band flattened out, support established, and right now it's working very damn near hard to go to stage 3, which is come back or correct within the band, either that through price or time. Right now doing so through price. 15-minute chart. And we'll start to see these little candles show a little bit more color as it moves forward in here. Within this here, we had a move up to here. Where it came from before, we'll see in time, which will just be like minutes or seconds, many a seconds. But resistance was congested among Pong in here for a little bit. There's your big volume on the top. There's your big volume right here. Let's take a look at this, see if we can see it a bit more clearly. Right in here. Now, that's just normal. Whenever you have a move that fast, 10.4 to 11, then that's to be on big volume. That doesn't indicate to me that, oh, it's going to go up at least a little bit more, which it did. But as it goes, after making this play within this, the 5-minute time frame failed within the 5, but it's not in this one. So just because it's failing on something like that, or when I say it pierces below, it doesn't matter. This is one of the big reasons why it doesn't matter, because piercing below the 18 on like the 5 means it can support something like the 15. On the single hour term, just choppiness, a little bit downtrend, a bunch of lower highs. It did make a lower low on this one here, and therefore that we can see now the bottom for 8 a.m. earlier today, getting above this level of resistance just a couple hours ago. And before doing such, it did stage 1 establish, band flattening out. Stage 2 establish resistance. Stage 3 come back to the band. It kind of looks like it technically did it there, but this is a time correction. It took 6 periods to really get to it, and then that was enough. 6 hours was enough after this, enough digestion of people. And a lot of times, like I've said before, this could be a case where time was allocated so that within this and all the other exchanges, and the big ones especially, that more orders get in. However, It's uh, it's just normal that you see these moves. I don't really need to care too much about a reason, just the fact that it happens and how does this mathematically work for me and how can I best capitalize on such a thing like this. So 4 hour term time frame. What we are, once it loads, seeing amongst such a little bit of a slower connection at this time, which try to fix that if I can. A lot of times it just comes and goes. Now this says a lot. This does say a lot. We had, like I say, these moves have just happened fast. The move happening today dwarfs. It majorly dwarfs the move found it around the 16th or 17th. And I mean, this is, and I actually remember this at the time. I was watching a lot of this live go on. It was like, oh my, I was like just amazed by it, and I mean, it used to happen all the time. Seeing this back in 2017 into early 2018, and I think it can very easily happen amongst like just a lot of this grinding its way and making these lower moves slowly but surely throughout 2018. A lot of the 2017 type of action is going to come back. I think it could already be starting. It could start in 2 months, or it could start in like 16 months. That's the way I look at it. And I don't care to know when. I'm just ready no matter when it happens. But this chart, you have that big move. How does it hold the 18? Now originally it resisted and fell below, but we can see since then that it managed to not only hold this low, but not even test it. But that was the big thing. Once it established this support, February 18th, 1900 hours, or in that or about 9600 low, it managed to make a move and make a statement above the 18. Statement to resume the trend? Yes. But it at least could make a statement that it was going to stop the downward pressure, because now after you make this move and then have a good breakout like this, it becomes extremely important to hold this. And it tested well above it. Multiple layers at a good number above the 10 handle. It's roughly at around the 1, pretty much right on that 10 number. And these just psychological numbers, it's just crazy. Anyway, this is a major statement. So this one here, really, like I say, this was more of a statement that to stop the decline, especially after all of this occurred. But this is no statement saying, "Oh, we're going to stop the decline." No, this is a statement that we're resuming what was going on here. And this was a good decline. This was decent in time. So at least on the very short term, I'm looking at resistance near 15,000. Conservatively selling 14 high change. That's what I'm looking at. And I said short term. I like resistance there, meaning when I'm looking at the 4 hour chart. Maybe we get a pullback down to 12. But when I say resistance, maybe it's only a small pullback to 13 or in that area. And maybe it just goes sideways there. And like I say, if it's not resistance, you're talking about a monstrous kind of move. And we'll finish this off within the daily term time frame, although I'll probably go weekly as well. It is a lot of data for this. We got this, well, it's been declining all through most of last year. So from this bottom at the end of such, it has been making a nice series of higher lows. 6,200, we did it again, so 2 higher lows, and then a third at the start of February. And although there was a couple along the way, another one after from the rise from where we are now, it resisted 11,000 and then it came back, made this low. But this high, albeit a lower high, it was such a good move that's fine. As long as it makes that higher low, holds that area, it's fine. And that's the case that happened. And this high higher than this one. So maybe I can make a case that counts because of this move of resistance here. And then the amazing move that took place, which this level of support matches the 3-time hit level of resistance here, hits the 18 average, hasn't came to the lows, so that's really strong that there hasn't been as much selling pressure to do such. It has made the statement in here that it can. Last time I said that stopped the decline. And because it didn't go below the 18 average of lows, I'm going to change that up a little bit. So yeah, it still made the statement that it's going to resume trend upwards. That's in play because higher highs, higher lows, having its correction, leaving the 18 highs. It's back to the highs now. But this statement also says it's going to at least neutralize the market. And that's the potential for what this could have. Possibly over the next 15, 30, 40, 50 days, we could have support down in this lower end here, maybe 92 or up, or maybe it upgrades it to 10.1, and maybe it downgrades support up to 90, down to 91 or something like that. And then, of course, we have a resistance, possible levels, I'd have to say maybe 12.7 up to this previous high, unlikely piercing above it, but that's a possibility as well for the statement that's being made when looking at it on the daily. Let's finish this off amongst the weekly. And among this one, and I'll scroll more periods after I'm done analyzing this, but this is all I need really to see. I mean, this market moves within all the cryptos. This bottomed on August 17 of mid-August 2017. What was this after? Question mark. And I know the answer to this. 14 days after that, or 2 weeks. What was August the 1st? That was the birth of Bitcoin Cash. All the altcoins were going down before that point, and then after that they rallied. Now, for the majority of it, this was a little different because a lot of other coins had big declines, even worse than this. But it had its rally at well, here's October of 2017. That's why this was so much different. Because, and I'm thinking Komodo for a second too. That's what was in my mind. I don't know if I accidentally said it. If I did, that's because I was thinking it. When I was looking at this long-term chart, I knew it looked a little bit off. But regardless of the fact, it had its rally up until when everything else did, and it's been declining through the entire year 2018. That's really all I really need to say. And here I am trying to explain this already past the half-hour point of this video. Wow, that's a long video. Anyway, the decline has been constant. And in reversal of trend, it has now already done stage number 3. Stage number 1, band flattening out. Its attempt to do so was on New Year's Eve, or at the end of the year. But it really didn't flatten too much until near the end of January. Success. Now that you've flattened it, get yourself a damn good rally and establish some resistance. And this one here, man, that's a very good pierce above. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Especially because you came back so quick. Now, if you had a huge pierce above and came back fast, it sucks you came back fast, but I'll count that as a pierce. Meaning, had this went up to say where it was or even higher and then pulled back to its band, well, I'll count that as stage 2 established and stage 3 come back. So therefore, I don't count that. But the next period, especially because of its previous move, it has this price at a decent level. So now I count that one as established resistance. 16, its our tops and bottoms are known after the fact. It's had a move already of the last 2 periods to count that this is the high for until the next low in at 15868. Tentatively or currently, the low is in at 9,600, which happened the very next period. But along the way, it came back down to the 18 average. Stage number 3. Get to that correctionary mode from that attempt that you just made. So that's in place. So therefore, when it's all said and done, a break above this level, the clear one, basically above 18,000, is a clear break above it, and thus a reversal of trend. Bear market finished, bull market beginning. So there, the movements that we're seeing short term indicate that if it's breaking above, well, I should be doing the 1 hour. If it breaks above this, then it's attempting to revert the trend. So for today's action, that's why the 4 hour is inappropriate and the single hour isn't such. That if this move that it's been having can succeed, it can hold and stay above where it came from, and where it came from is in the, I mean, it had a bunch of lower highs, so the general area of around the 10 number, 10.4, even 10's too far, but I mean, if it holds that, so be it. But I mean, I'm looking for the resistance to hold. I guess 10,400 is conservatively low. If it holds the range of 10.4 to 10.7, and it's already went down to 10.8, close enough. I mean, technically it is to this level here, so it's came down to the highest point to count as, well, it's been a decent sized correction for the must hold area. So because of that good move, if it gets above this level of resistance, which I mentioned was a small shell of the one just a few days prior to it, then it's doing that attempt on the long-term time frame to go wild. And that's why I say that this is short-term level of resistance. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.